Welcome back. Here we go. Revelation 6 and Matthew 24. So put your finger in Revelation 6 and go over to Matthew 24. So let's read Matthew 24. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Matthew is the first gospel. Let's read Matthew 24. And we're going to start with verse 5. We got verse 4. Take heed that no one deceives you. I know I've hammered that bazillions of times, but Jesus jumps in. Take heed that no man deceives you. Verse 5. For many will come in my name, saying I am Christ, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, and see that you're not troubled. All of these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All of these are the beginnings of sorrows. Then they'll deliver you up to be afflicted and will kill you, and you'll be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended and will betray one another and will hate one another. And many false prophets will rise and deceive many. Because iniquity will abound, the love of many will wax cold. But he that will endure to the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all of the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end shall come. We've had that. I'm going to go over to Revelation 6, and we're going to start. So with Matthew 24, 4 through 14 in our brains, let's jump over and look at Rev 6. And I saw, verse 1, when the Lamb opened one of the seals. Now this is an interesting thing to me, because it doesn't say that he opened the first seal as in the first in a series of 7. It says he opened one of them. So we don't know which one he opened. So we have to ask the question, does it matter? We may not know the answer to this, but it's a question we have to ask. Does it matter which seal Jesus opened first, or is the first seal that he opened the first thing we should expect? Right? Do they have to be opened in sequence, or does it matter if they're opened in sequence? I don't know, but let's keep going. I saw the Lamb open one of the seals, verse 1, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So let's talk about some symbology here. This is not too hard. White horse generally represents victor, the white horse, the good guy, right? The interesting thing about this is that he had a bow but no arrows. Right? It doesn't say that he had a bow and arrows, it says he had a bow. So he had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So here we have a person that, for all intents and purposes, looks as if he's a conquering king. But he has no ammunition, which is interesting. So, Matthew 24, I'm going to go back there. First thing Jesus says, many will come in my name, saying I am Christ, and will deceive many. I think that's what this is. The guy on the white horse with the bow and no ammunition is the guy that's coming to deceive many. Let's keep going, you'll see why I say that. When he had opened the second seal, I heard a second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword. What's next in Matthew? And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Goes along with the second horse. And he opened the third seal, and I heard the beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and there was a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that you hurt not the oil and the wine. The next thing in Jesus' description is there will be famines and pestilences. Jesus has here, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. Now, this third horse of the apocalypse is the black horse. And something that's interesting about this is, it depends on how you see this. You can look at this a couple of ways. So this can either represent a time of great famine, or it could represent a time of great plenty. Some people will look at this and they'll say 3 measures of barley for a penny, that's not very much. Well, using our current method of economics, I would agree. 3 measures, 3 cups in essence, 3 cups of barley for a penny, I'd buy that. I mean, that's a great commodity. So we have to ask the question, do we know? Did Jesus expect us to interpret this from the day that we're reading it, or from the day that it was written? Are we supposed to look at the 3 measures of barley for a penny as something that was written in his time? Because if that's the case, it was extremely expensive, because that was a day's wages. So 3 measures of barley for a day's wages would mean there was famine. If we interpret it underneath of today's scale, 3 measures of barley for a penny is a steal, right? The reason why I believe that this is interpreted, or should be interpreted, and should be read from Jesus, from the date that Jesus gave it, is that, next verse, a measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that you do not hurt the oil and the wine. So if it was at a time of plenty, I don't think there'd be any reason to say, see that you hurt not the oil and the wine, right? In a time of drought or a time of lack, God's putting a restriction on on this angelic creature that's going out. God is placing a restriction on him. He's saying, whatever you're doing, don't touch this. So I think that this is intended, because of that, I think that this is intended to be interpreted as famine and not as plenty. And I believe that because Jesus parallels this, and Jesus said there would be famine, I think that's what this is talking about. So that's where I'm at with that, just so you know. You guys can evaluate that yourselves and see if you agree or disagree with me. When he'd opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And actually that Greek word for pale means mucus green. Kind of gross. But that gives you the idea. It's like an infection, right? His name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth to kill with sword, with hunger, with death, and with the beasts of the field. Now, this is a super uber fascinating one. So we're going to stop and talk about this. Because here's the deal. Jesus already covered these things on earlier horses. Power was given to him over the 4th part of the earth to kill with sword. We've already talked about being killed with sword. And with hunger, we've already talked about that. And with death, there's a new one. To kill with death.
What's that?
What's the difference? That's a great question. I'll tell you what I think. And with the beasts of the earth. In other words, in this circumstance, people are just going to die. It's not like they're in battle. It's not like they're starving. It's just they fall over dead. To kill with death. It's just it is the tool of destruction. Simple death. It's like he's just gone. Like died suddenly. You know. And with the beasts of the field. So this is even more interesting when you put the pieces together. Because when do the beasts of the field begin killing humans? Generally speaking,